All right, let's dive in. Today, we are going to talk about unlocking a really powerful concept, something that can take rigid, old school manufacturing and transform it into a flexible, future proof system. We're talking about moving beyond outdated validation processes and really embracing a smarter, more scientific approach. So let's get that box unlocked and see how this all works. So let me start by asking you a question. Does your manufacturing process ever feel like it's trapped in a locked box? You know the feeling. You've got this super rigid SOP. It says mix for exactly 60 minutes at precisely 40 RPM. But then, well, the real world hits. Maybe the humidity spikes one day, or you get a new batch of raw material that's just a little bit different. You know you probably need to adjust, but you can't. And why can't you? Because of this. The second you step outside that one single fixed point, you know you're triggering a whole cascade of problems. We're talking deviations, investigations, mountains of paperwork, and of course, the dreaded, incredibly expensive process of revalidation. It's a system that basically punishes you for using common sense. But what if there was a better way? Well, there is, and it all starts with understanding a concept called a design space. Seriously, think of this as the actual key that unlocks that rigid box. It gives you a scientifically proven safety zone that you can operate inside of. So what is a design space exactly? You can think of it as a defined multi-dimensional combination of all your input variables. Things like temperature, pressure, time, concentration. It's all the stuff you put into the process. And this combination has been scientifically proven to consistently deliver a quality product. So it's not one magic number, it's an entire range where you know you'll be successful. And this right here really shows the huge shift in thinking. The old way was all about chasing a single fixed point. It must be 50 degrees, no exceptions. The new way, though, defines a safety zone. It proves that anywhere between, say, 45 and 55 degrees, your product quality is absolutely guaranteed. You have freedom to operate. And here it is. This is the most revolutionary idea of all. Making an adjustment within your predefined, scientifically validated design space is not considered a change that requires a new regulatory filing. It's just normal, everyday manufacturing. This single idea completely changes the game. Okay, so you're probably wondering, how do we find and prove this amazing safety zone? Well, we don't guess. We use a really powerful statistical tool that acts like a high-speed engine for understanding our process. It's called Design of Experiments, or DOE for short. Now, for decades, the standard method was something called one factor at a time, or OFAT. You'd hold every single thing constant, change just the temperature, and see what happens. Then you'd reset and change just the pressure. It was incredibly slow, but more importantly, it was totally blind to how these factors actually interact with each other in the real world. DOE is the modern and, frankly, far superior replacement. And this table just lays it all out perfectly. I mean, look at the comparison. OFAT is slow, it requires a huge number of experimental runs, and it often gives you misleading data because it completely misses those crucial interactions. DO, on the other hand, is faster, way more resource efficient, and it maps out the entire process landscape for you. It shows you how X affects Y, even when Z is changing. It delivers true scientific understanding. And using DOE to get there is a really clear, logical process. It's not magic. First, you screen all your potential variables to find out which ones actually matter. Then, you characterize their relationships to map out the process. And finally, you optimize everything to define those robust operating ranges that, you guessed it, become your design space. The ultimate outcome here, what you're really aiming for, is identifying your true critical process parameters, your CPPs. You might learn that, hey, mixing speed has a really wide margin for error, but the moisture level, that's a non-negotiable deal breaker. This is the deep scientific knowledge that regulators at the FDA and EMA are practically begging to see. They don't just want you to follow a recipe, they want you to prove you understand the science behind it. Okay, now let's get to the part your boss is really gonna love, the tangible business and regulatory wins. Because this isn't just about doing better science, it's about having a better bottom line. First and foremost, you're going to see a dramatic reduction in production deviations. Think about it. If a parameter drifts a little bit during a run, no big deal. You're still operating well within your validated safety zone. And that means no panic, no investigation, and no incredibly costly out-of-specification events that bring production to a screeching halt. And the advantages just keep stacking up.
Beyond fewer deviations, this approach almost always leads to faster regulatory approvals because you're giving the agencies the robust data they've been asking for. Internally, it means way less paperwork day to day and a whole lot more operational flexibility for your team on the manufacturing floor.
What you're really doing here is shifting your entire quality philosophy. You move away from what I call snapshot validation, where you just pray those 3 golden batches work out, and you move to a state of continuous process verification. You are always monitoring, you're always in control, and you are always within your validated state. It's a whole new level of confidence. And here's a massive financial benefit. What happens when you need to make a change after your product is already approved? Well, with a design space clearly defined in your filing, many of those changes are streamlined or might not even require prior approval at all. That regulatory flexibility directly translates into accelerating your time to market, which of course boosts revenue. So what does this all add up to? It's really about moving from a rigid past to a flexible future. It's about building a production system that isn't brittle and prone to breaking at the slightest disturbance, but one that is robust and resilient enough for the real world. So, the ultimate takeaway here is this. The future of high-quality manufacturing is not about being more rigid. It's about being scientifically flexible. By investing in this deep process understanding today, you are truly future-proofing your production line against all the inevitable surprises of tomorrow. So, I'm going to leave you with this one last question to think about. Take a hard look at your own operations, your own validation strategies. Are they built on the rigid, fixed-point principles of the past? Or are you building a scientifically flexible process that's actually ready for the future?